Hi, it's Joy and welcome to my first Ted Lasso reaction. Now, I'm filming this in the present when this video is going to be posted on YouTube. The reactions to seasons 1 and 2 were sponsored on Patreon originally from the end of 2021 into 2022. And then I really enjoyed Ted Lasso, but I was super busy. Season 3 came out and I had so much going on and I didn't get around to watching it, didn't get around to reacting to it. And then earlier this year, another very, very lovely patron sponsored season 3 and I was like, yeah, I like that show, I'll watch it. And then something happened to me over the course of watching season 3 and my hyperfixating brain went, oh, this is life now. And yes, I have spent the last like 2 months in a world that is purely about Ted Lasso. Every second that I'm not reacting, I'm thinking about Ted Lasso. I'm writing fan fiction for Ted Lasso. I'm reading fan fiction for Ted Lasso. I've made 4 fan videos for Ted Lasso on my other series. I've told every single person in my life that they need to watch Ted Lasso. So this is just a little disclaimer beforehand because I wanted to just say how much this show means to me and how much I love it. And also a little disclaimer that a couple of years ago my camera was a little bit shit. It was breaking, but because it was going kind of wrong and like the colors all faded, gradually I didn't notice, and then eventually I was like, wait, and so I replaced it and things. I think some of the first reactions might be slightly quiet. I'm really sorry about that. Joy of 3 years ago, what were you doing? And also I remember when I first started watching it, I'm someone that sometimes struggles with comedy shows, sometimes struggles with, but that's not realistic, but that wouldn't happen. And then normally what happens is once I get into the swing of a show, I stop super caring about that. And I do remember being a little bit like, but no one would ever do that. No one would hire someone like that. Like, he'd at least read a book about football a little bit at the beginning. But I also remember how much I loved this show. And by the end of season 3, like I said, I honestly think this show is exactly what the world needs right now. The world is a dark, depressing, awful place, and Ted Lasso gives me hope for how the world could be. So I just wanted to do this short, I say short, it's been like 2 minutes. Hello at the beginning of this reaction before we jump back in time to the Joy of 3 years ago and see what she made of the first episode.
Thank you so much, Kevin, for sponsoring this show and for all your continued support on Patreon. I have genuinely got no idea what the show is about. From like finding it, I feel like it's something sport related, but I don't know. And it's a comedy, I'm pretty sure. So I'm very excited to explore this show. If you're watching this at some point in the future in YouTube, then you could have been watching this reaction in September and October on my Patreon, unedited. Let's go. Okay, football. Hello? That is a hideous piece of art. Anthony Head? I thought this show was going to be American. I hope it's that he's fired. Oh, thank God. And many, many things. Yeah. I'm assuming Ted Lasso.
Of course, recently it was Coach Lasso leading the Division II Wichita State Shockers to their first ever national title.
So, does he know anything about football?
Not how Ted Lasso found his way into our hearts, certainly not into our living rooms. For me, it'll always be Ted celebrating a moment of joy with his team in a way that you really have to see.
He fosters a good team spirit. I'd like a coach if he did this kind of thing.
You coaching football, mate. You are a legend for doing something such a... I mean, it's fucking murder you.
I mean, I think so. If you know nothing about sport, but I suppose you get a nice bit of money. Genuinely, I think if I could be like England manager or like a Premier League club, although I have no idea what league his team is in, for like a week, I'd be set for life. What division are we in here?
Yes, sir. I didn't look to take all the pressure. Oh no, that's very nice. Go through the garbage if you want. That's all right. No. Still, we got to get off the grass. Oh yeah. What's your name, by the way? Me? Yeah. No one ever asked my name.
Oh.
Oh, good. You all got Nathan's hot dogs here?
No.
Okay.
People who are uncomfortable will just agree with a joke.
I was right. That's horrible. No, thank you.
Have some sugar in it.
Believe in ghosts, Ted?
I do, but more importantly, I think they need to believe in themselves.
Oh God.
Okay. And this is all of our pre.
Well, I know this fella up here. I would the girls and the champagne and everything. He looks like a good time.
That's my ex-husband.
Well, good times aren't always a good time. I found. Oh yeah. No, after a couple nights good sleep, I'll be happy.
Oh no, you're going on right now.
I thought you knew. They're ready for you now.
What?
She would want to prep him a little bit first so that he didn't look like a deer in the headlights. They would have agreed on like talking points they were going to say and like what the message of this change is.
If I don't hear silence, I'm gonna start punching dicks.
This seems like a great team.
Did not expect fizzy water there. Sorry.
We don't really do fizzy water here. That's like Europe has fizzy water. In the UK, we just do water. You can get fizzy water, but that would be not. Sorry.
No, I have never coached the sport that you folks call football at any level. Go out there and give you everything they got for all 4 quarters. What was that? Oh right. So try to end the game in a tie. Well, that might as well be the first sign of the apocalypse. I respect what you folks in the
They would have prepped him so much more than this.
Is now being charged with the leadership of a Premier League football team.
Premier League?
Possessing very little knowledge of the game.
The premise of the show is hilariously stupid and I love it.
What's a goalie? The fellow with the big Mickey Mouse hands in the by the net.
This is painful. What else did they expect putting him here?
Found mediocrity. Am I wrong?
I mean, if they haven't been relegated from the Premier League, that's something.
But he does have one thing this club doesn't. A trophy from this millennium. So,
Okay, but like, how can he coach if he hasn't even learnt the rules of the game yet? You know, oh, should we do a 4-4-2 or, you know, what should we do? Is like, what do I do? Like, just, I love this. Comedy shows have such ridiculous premises and they're great.
Nice meeting y'all.
don't you think about them for another second. You have a job to do.
She really likes it because it's big press.
Oh, he's an absolute wanker.
Pardon?
I hope he fails miserably. See, my ex-husband truly loved only one thing his entire life. This club.
Okay,
Ted Lasso is going to help me burn it to the ground.
that makes sense. That makes sense about why she's done something so epically stupid. That is very horrible for every person that, all the fans that have given you money. The biggest issue here is that you don't know the rules of the game. He doesn't even know the name of his players.
I'll tell you that, but you continue to impress, Nathan.
You remember the name? Jamie Tart, top scorer on the team. Fuck off.
This is not a team. This is a group of individuals.
He's great. You know, football.
Yeah, I know fellas like that. So these fellas from all over the place?
Yes, this football is actually a sport played around the world.
Yes and no.
How many countries are in this country?
4.
I like America.
Oh dear. How wealthy these footballers are. I'd love to actually see what it's like inside one of these training rooms. Locker rooms. Oh, he's leaving his kid in another country. Why? Are any of your posters of football players?
Avoid with them being coached by Ronald fucking McDonald.
He's your coach, you should show some respect.
He thinks he's mad now. Wait till we win him over.
He'll be furious.
Okay, Kate.
Maybe learn the game, at the very least.
When you start searching around on Twitter, I would avoid #Richmond or wanker or dick.
Well, I'll take your word for it.
See, for this to work, I'm going to need the full support of my new Director of Football Operations. I'm assuming that's a promotion and substantial.
Godsend, Ted Lasso!
Next one, no one.
He's-
Well, I accept.
How does Ted Lasso think that this is a serious offer that's gonna be successful?
I'm sure it won't be harder than it was to sneak all Rupert's women in and out behind my back all those years.
She's got you there. I don't agree with what she's doing because it's the players' like careers, livelihoods, legacies, but most importantly, the ordinary people that have been a fan of this club their entire life you're screwing over. God, if you have a family and then you move completely away from them, I can't imagine the loneliness of that. Is he still with his wife?
Well, you know, so far so good. Yeah.
Be honest if you're struggling.
Oh, wait,
It's your wife.
Yeah, you and the little guy gotta get on over here. Come check it out. That's what I'm doing. Though. I'm getting that space.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's why he took this crazy deal for his family.
Yeah.
She needs space. I don't know why. Did he devote himself to his like the team and his career rather than his family? Pretty sure your life's gonna suck for a while because it's not gonna be a smooth ride. Okay, I really enjoyed that first episode. The premise is ludicrous, but then ludicrous things happen. You know, people that you would never think get jobs get the jobs. The idea though that like, I assume it was quite a last minute decision that he maybe didn't have that much warning about what's happening, but the fact that he knows nothing about football, like even his assistant coach or whatever is the one that's desperately trying to learn everything. I just, in reality, he would get eaten alive. And I think it's really interesting because just the idea that like a Premier League club would do this is a very funny idea, but also the fact that it's being done intentionally to run the club into the ground. Now, yeah, if they're very mediocre, that sucks, you know, but if they've been a Premier League club the whole time, because if they've not done anything successful, then they clearly haven't gone down into the Championship and then had to come up again. So that's not bad if you ask me. Being like a mediocre club in the Premier League is still pretty cool. For the players, it's going to be interesting to get to know them. They seem like some characters. And it's just funny to me when I think about just how much money those men will be earning. If they were real, obviously, the actors will not be earning anywhere near as much as a Premier League footballer, I imagine. But just the ludicrous lives Premier League footballers live and the way they're choosing to portray them is very interesting. This is definitely a team of individuals, not a team at the moment. And hopefully we're going to see that grow as the coach becomes part of the team. But it's going to be quite an agonising ride, I feel like, to get there because first of all he just knows nothing about football and he's not even like, he couldn't sleep on the plane and it's not even like he borrowed one of the football books to try to learn, he just didn't. And yeah, I'm very intrigued to see how much of the show is written by English people, how much of the show is written by Americans. I think for it to work best it would need a combination of the two so that, you know, you've got the mostly need English people as it is set in England, but it would need a couple of Americans. I think the lead actor, whose name has literally just I don't know, he's left my brain, is part of the writing team. You need both so you can fully get both sides of the experience. I have literally never come across sparkling water as the only alternative. I think the only reason it would be there would be if they were being sponsored like at the Olympics. I know when I went on holiday to Europe with my friends we were desperately trying to find normal water in a shop in Hungary and the woman was laughing at us and then we all ended up with sparkling and it was disgusting. But yeah, that's one major thing where I'm like, yeah, but in England it would just be water. That's Europe. As much as I wish I was a part of the EU, that part of the EU they can keep. No. So yeah, I'm very much excited to kind of watch as he figures out what football is. When they kept talking about the club, I was really expecting it to be a Championship or League One club. I really was not thinking it was going to be in the Premier League. But we will see. And I feel bad for the owner because obviously she's had a very messy divorce. Her husband has been a dick to her. And so, you know, I guess in the divorce she fought and got the football club from him. And now she just wants to surely just the fact that his wife owns it would be enough of a kick in the teeth. If his wife is able to take his club from mediocre to excellent, wouldn't that be more punishing to him because it's not his victory anymore, it's hers? So I think that would be a better way to do it, and to make a real effort in the press of saying, well, under the previous owner, it was rubbish, but under me, look how wonderful it is. That would be a much better victory over him. Think this through. And you wouldn't be screwing over generations of fans and people that have invested their souls into your club. I am stressed though, because I can feel like there's going to be a lot of secondhand embarrassment and cringing going on, but I am excited to see where it goes next. Thank you so much, Kevin, for sponsoring this show. It was a lot of fun in this first episode. I am kind of scared, but also very excited to keep watching. Thank you so much for watching.